If you're over 60, your balance and lower body strength are already quietly changing, and the wobble that shows up one day doesn't come with much warning. The good news is that a handful of well-chosen exercises is genuinely all it takes to start pushing back. Rock the boat. The name sounds a little casual, but what this exercise is actually doing is training your body to stabilize itself on one leg, which is something that happens dozens of times a day during normal walking, and is something most people never consciously practice until it starts to feel unreliable. It targets the quads, core, and hips, and the combination of those three things working together is essentially what keeps you upright and controlled during movement. Stand with your feet hip distance apart. Lift your arms and extend them out to the sides, or rest your hands on your hips if that feels more comfortable. Then, lift one foot off the floor, bending the knee to bring the heel up toward your backside. Hold that position for up to 30 seconds, focusing on keeping the standing leg steady rather than rushing through the hold. Then, switch sides and repeat, doing each side 3 times total. If you're just starting out, shorter holds are completely fine. The point is to challenge your stability consistently, not to set records on day one. Weight shifts. This one is closely related to rock the boat in principle, but it isolates a slightly different part of the balance equation. Where rock the boat focuses on the bent knee hold, weight shifts is about training the body to transfer load from one side to the other with control, which is, mechanically speaking, exactly what walking is. It works the quads and calves, and it reinforces the kind of single-leg stability that prevents the stumbles that tend to happen during transitional moments. Stand with your feet hip-width apart, then deliberately shift your weight onto your right foot and raise your left foot off the ground. Hold for up to 30 seconds, then switch, 3 times per side. The simplicity of it is the point. There's nothing here to overthink, just the quiet work of making your stabilizing muscles earn their keep. Tightrope walk. If the previous 2 exercises are about holding still on one leg, the tightrope walk is about staying controlled while actually moving, which is the harder and ultimately more practical version of the same skill. It targets the core, quads, and calves, and it trains the kind of deliberate, coordinated movement that tends to deteriorate when balance and body awareness aren't regularly challenged. Extend your arms out to the sides or place them on your hips. Pick a fixed point to focus on in the distance. This matters more than it sounds because visual anchoring is a meaningful part of how the body maintains balance during movement. Then, walk in a straight line, pausing for 2 to 3 seconds each time you raise a foot before placing it down. 20 to 30 steps is the target. It feels slow and deliberate, and that's exactly the intention. Flamingo stand. This one goes after the core, calves, and hips, and it adds a layer of difficulty that starts to bridge the gap between basic balance training and genuine functional strength. The mechanics involve shifting your weight onto one foot, lifting the opposite leg and extending it forward, and holding that position for 10 to 15 seconds. If you want to increase the challenge, reach your hands toward your extended foot. That shift in your center of gravity forces the stabilizing muscles to work considerably harder to maintain the position. Return to standing, shake out the legs, and repeat 3 times before switching sides. The reach variation in particular is worth working toward because it develops the kind of dynamic balance that matters in real-world situations where you're not standing still on even ground. Back leg raises. This exercise is the posture piece of the puzzle, and it addresses an area, the lower back and glutes, that tend to weaken quietly and cause problems loudly when neglected. Place your hands on a wall or the back of a chair for support. Shift your weight onto one foot, then slowly lift the opposite leg back and upward as high as you comfortably can. Hold for 5 seconds, Return to the starting position and repeat 10 times before switching sides. The keyword throughout is slowly. This isn't a movement that benefits from momentum. The value is in the controlled lift and the deliberate hold, both of which demand sustained engagement from the glutes and lower back rather than allowing the surrounding muscles to cheat by swinging the leg up passively. Tree pose. Tree pose works the hips, calves, and quads, and it's one of the more comprehensive single leg balance exercises available without any equipment at all. From standing, shift your weight onto one foot and position the other foot against the standing leg, either with the heel lifted to the side or with the sole pressed against the ankle, shin, or inner thigh. The one place to avoid is directly against the knee, which puts lateral pressure on the joint in a way that isn't helpful. Hold for up to a minute, hands wherever feels comfortable, then switch sides. Consistently working toward the full hold is where the real gains come from. The body adapts to the stability demand over time, and what feels genuinely difficult in the beginning starts to feel manageable in a way that reflects real progress. Heel-to-toe walk. This exercise pairs naturally with the tightrope walk, but requires a more precise foot placement that makes it distinctly more demanding in terms of balance and coordination. Start with your heels pressing against a wall. Then place one foot directly in front of the other so the heel of the leading foot touches the toes of the trailing foot. Walk forward in that pattern for 20 steps. The precision of the foot placement forces a narrow base of support that your body has to work to stabilize, and that challenge is exactly what makes it effective for building the kind of balance that translates to everyday movement on uneven or unpredictable surfaces. Marching in place. This one looks deceptively simple, but it's doing real work for the hips, lower back, and quads, and it directly trains the kind of deliberate leg lift that prevents the shuffling gait pattern that tends to develop as people age and becomes a significant contributor to trips and falls. The mechanics couldn't be more straightforward, which is part of what makes it a smart addition to any routine. Stand with your feet hip-width apart and your hands either on your hips or resting on a stable surface if you need the support. Lift your left knee as high as you comfortably can, lower it back to the floor with control, then lift the right. Alternate between sides for 20 total repetitions, 10 per leg. The emphasis should be on the height of the lift and the controlled lowering, not on speed. Rushing through it turns the exercise into something closer to fidgeting, and the muscles don't get much out of fidgeting. If you have a walker nearby, using it for support here is completely reasonable and doesn't reduce the effectiveness of the movement. The leg work is the point, and that happens regardless of what your hands are doing. Here's the part that often gets underemphasized in conversations about exercise for older adults. Staying mobile, strong, and balanced isn't just about fitness in the abstract sense. It's about maintaining independence, and independence has a direct and well-documented relationship with confidence and overall well-being as people age. When movement feels unreliable, people begin accommodating that unreliability in ways that compound the problem, moving less, reaching less, engaging less, and the decline tends to accelerate from there.